the science around our consumption of animals has been around for quite a while. Dr. Michael Greger and others made videos and put out articles, more than a decade ago, telling us that we were in for a massive pandemic or epidemic if we didn't pay attention and make change, and we didn't.
Eating Animals Causes Pandemics, Part 1 of 4. Continue watching to find out more.
Arfe, warm-hearted viewers, that was hello, and is how the inhabitants of South Ossetia would greet you in Ossetian, their national language. My name is Shorena. The hospitable people of South Ossetia wish you healthy, vibrant, and blessed lives. Welcome to part 1 of our show, Eating Animals Causes Pandemics. Eating Animals Causes Pandemics, Part 1 of 4, The Imminent Danger with Markham and Ray Ippolito, both vegans. Concerned viewers, on today's program, we will examine the perilous link between pandemics and the consumption of animals. COVID-19 is an infectious zoonotic disease that originates in animals, transmitting from bats to pangolins and then to humans. This deadly pandemic has already infected almost 200 million people, devastated the global economy, and brought the world to its knees. On May 1st, 2021, concerned people from 60 cities in 20 different countries participated in the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative, organized by Eating Animals Causes Pandemics, calling attention to the dangerous connection between pandemics and the exploitation of animals. The event attracted worldwide media attention. In today's episode, we learn from two of the primary organizers of this international initiative, Markham and Ray Ippolito, why they are so worried about future pandemics. Markham is a climate and animal rights activist, educator, and writer, and the co-founder of Eating Animals Causes Pandemics, and Ray Ippolito is an animal rights activist, musician, teacher, and the director of the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative. They begin by sharing why future pandemics are highly likely.
Our dealings and intervention and invasion of wildlife is really what brings most of this about, that we're clearing most of our land to produce more animals to consume, and then viruses take hold from there. Or zoonotic viruses are when a virus jumps from one species to the next, from a non-human animal now to human animals. And we've created these beautiful things called airplanes, which allow us to distribute the virus globally like no other time in the history of our species and of the planet. So it has to do with a completely broken animal-based food system, but also coming from wildlife. And you add in the petri dish of stacking tens of thousands of animals in cages and confinement, and you're creating a perfect environment, a petri dish to create more viruses.
We are encroaching on the natural world because we are using more and more land to graze animals, but also to raise food for them. That brings us closer to wildlife, and it makes a spillover to humans or to the animals who we have domesticated more likely. So all in all, it's a problem, but for sure factory farms and the way that animals are raised is the highest risk for us to end up with another pandemic or epidemic. And the fatality rate can be much higher, as high as 60%, the scientists say, for some avian flus, etc.
Why are zoonoses so hard to fend off and so worrisome for humans as a whole? It is because when bacteria, viruses, and fungi jump from one type of animal host to another, some of them are capable of mutating and multiplying in such a way that the immune system of the new host are unable to cope. SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus responsible for COVID-19, is only one example. According to the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, 3 out of every 4 new or emerging infectious diseases in humans are zoonotic. Some other diseases transmitted from animals to humans are HIV/AIDS, MERS, smallpox, measles, Ebola, and likely Spanish flu, but there are more.
We had SARS from eating animals. We've had avian flu, also known as bird flu, and swine flu, and mad cow disease as well. These are all present throughout the world all the time. So right now, since the beginning of this year, we've seen avian flu in a dozen different countries across the world. And it's actually been transmitted to humans in Russia this year.
It is not just avian flu. While COVID-19 ravages the planet, other zoonoses and animal-related malaises are breaking out across the globe. The following are just some examples. In 2020 and 2021, a new strain of avian flu, H5N8, similar to that of the H5N1 outbreak in 2008, has been occurring at poultry farms and among wild bird populations in several countries, and was detected in humans in February 2021 in Russia. In July 2021, a veterinarian died in China after contracting the monkey bee virus. He had dissected 2 monkeys at the Breeding Research Institute in Beijing 2 months before his death. The monkey bee virus has a fatality rate of roughly 80% if untreated. There has been 1 confirmed case of a person-to-person transmission of the monkey bee virus. In August 2021, the West African nation of Guinea reported its first case of Marburg virus, known as Ebola's deadly cousin, that can cause viral hemorrhagic fever in humans and other primates. The virus is believed to be related to human activities in mines or caves inhabited by Rosetta's bat colonies in Uganda. It is highly infectious and can spread through direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected people, surfaces, and materials. It has a fatality rate that varies from 24 to 88%. In 2021, India has reported 45,374 cases of a rare and dangerous black fungus infection called mucormycosis. This is associated with COVID-19 patients and affects the nose, eyes, and sometimes the brain. India has recorded more than 4,300 black fungus deaths, and experts say the actual number is likely far higher. There has also been a summertime outbreak of a superbug fungus known as Candida auris in Washington, D.C. and Dallas, Texas in the USA. The invasive fungal infections is impervious to all three major classes of medications and therefore untreatable at this time. The CDC has noted 8 possible deaths associated with Candida auris. Discerning viewers, anyone mentioned above can break out and launch attack to humans as the next pandemics. Let us contemplate on the seriousness of these alarming emerging diseases and take them for what they are, wake-up calls for humanity. We will be back after this message.
Vegan, be the light in the dark hours.
Welcome back to our program. Mao and Ray state that although we are facing a unique situation due to the unprecedented scale of livestock operations devastating our ecosystems, the media is not discussing this elephant in the room. This was one of their reasons for organizing the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative.
The media is not talking about it and our governments are not talking about it. That's a huge issue. Greta Thunberg has been trying to say to us for several years now, listen to the science, listen to the science. And it all points in the same direction. You know, it's all telling us that we need to end animal agriculture. And we're not paying attention to this, and the media is conspiring, and our governments are conspiring to simply allow corporations to continue to do what they're doing, and and allowing the masses, allowing most people to just not understand what the issues are, and to just keep on, with every day as if we can continue like this and survive. Which we can't do. That's what all the science is saying. And as the science around our consumption of animals has been around for quite a while. Dr. Michael Greger and others made videos and put out articles, more than a decade ago, telling us that we were in for a massive pandemic or epidemic if we didn't pay attention and make change, and we didn't.
Our most gracious Supreme Master Ching Hai has also frequently warned about the deadly consequences of eating animals, starting 3 decades ago, including climate change, environmental destruction, mass extinction of wildlife, pandemics, and more. She is emphatic that there is only one way to stop COVID-19 and all future pandemics: the global adoption of a vegan lifestyle.
We make our trouble, and we try to blame anything else. We just change it.
Yes.
Don't eat animal anymore. Then we don't have this animal transmitted disease, at least, right? It's so obvious.
Yes, Master. Very obvious, Master.
Yeah, we have mad cow disease from cow, no?
Yes.
We have pig disease from pig, no?
Yes.
We have fish disease from mercury from fish that's undetectable.
Mm-hmm.
It's incurable as well.
Yes, Master.
Or salmonella from egg, yeah?
Yes.
For chicken, we have bird flu from chicken, etc., from other fowl species, etc. So it's all from animals up to now.
Yes.
Up to now, all the terrible disease and epidemic, pandemic we had is from animals. So it's obvious.
Our deep gratitude to Supreme Master Ching Hai for her wise words. Over 50 million deaths and untold suffering could have been avoided if humanity had eaten plant-based. We pray that all people soon heed her warning and prevent further suffering by quickly adopting the life-saving, compassionate vegan lifestyle. On today's program, we continue our discussion with Markham and Ray Ippolito, the two primary coordinators, as they explain why they organized this global event.
When the pandemic hit, then there was another opportunity to share the same thing I've been sharing for almost 16 years, that eating animals causes pandemics. Most of our crops on the planet, most of our water, most of our usable land goes to supplying over 70 billion land animals and 2.7 trillion sea animals for our human species to consume. It has to end. It's irresponsible for us to continue, and it's irresponsible for us not to take action. We can take action individually, but it's an imperative that each one of us do something more, because that's what it's going to take, 100%.
Countless scientific studies showed that a mix of human activities helped these zoonotic diseases to emerge, including widespread destruction of wildlife habitat, livestock production practices, and the international trade in wild animals for meat, pets, traditional medicine, fashion, and other purposes. A 2013 report from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization states that livestock health is the weakest link in our global health chain. However, the media and governments seldom talk about this fragile link.
We have all the science behind us. So our goals are to get people to pay attention to the science and act on them. Not only people, but also governments and organizations and the media to pay attention to the message. So it's such important information if we don't want to do this again. And that's really our goal, is to help people to understand that we have to stop, we have to fix our broken food system if we are going to avoid another pandemic. And I think that we don't really have a choice in this. And if we don't pay attention now, we are going to be so sorry.
Mo also believes that our media, governments, and educational system have failed us thus far.
Many of us have masks that say eating animals causes pandemics.com with our website on it. And when we walk around with that, people are stunned, like, why is this not part of the conversation? Why do they not have this education? Why do they not understand that so many diseases, avian flu, swine flu, SARS, MERS, mad cow, measles, smallpox, HIV, the Spanish flu, all of these things came to us from our food system and from using other animals. It's a huge failure of our education system, of our media, of our governments.
Many experts are concerned that future pandemics could be much deadlier than COVID-19.
This one thing, as we've seen, has buckled us, has brought us to our knees. And by the way, only a fatality rate of less than 2%. God forbid anything increases, which most pandemics have a far greater fatality rate. The infection rate is less, but the fatality rate with avian flu is 60%. 60%, and swine flu 30%. So this is an urgent opportunity that we have at this moment to get animal rights, environmental conservation, religious, and I dare say every single person to unify on one single message so that we can get to the root cause and not continue the same craziness that we pursue within these different industries.
We will take a moment to thank the Divine for the noble organizations that raise awareness about the root cause of pandemics, killing animals and eating their flesh. We will be back after this message. Vegan, to save our world before it's too late. Welcome back to our discussion with Markham and Ray Ippolito. Many scientific reports show that raising livestock creates immense environmental damage, is the leading cause of climate change, and is the source of most pandemics. However, some people argue that eating meat is their personal choice. Mao and Ray share their thoughts on this.
We're all connected. It's a choice that affects all of us, right? It's a choice that affects the planet. It's a choice that affects every human being on the planet, from a climate perspective and from an environmental perspective and from a pandemic perspective now. And so it's taking away the choice of another animal, and we are animals, and they are animals, so it's taking away their choice, but it's also affecting all the human animals on the planet. We're also killing the planet, and we're destroying our own health, but we're also destroying the health of future generations if we're risking pandemics. We're risking the health of all of the people around us. And, as we destroy the planet, we are destroying the planet for the children. We look at Greta Thunberg and millions of children across the world and young adults who stood up and said, you are destroying our future. And that's what we have to think of. Every choice that we make affects the children around us. So we can't just say, this is me, this is my choice. I'm doing this, and I'm going to continue doing it because it's my right. You don't have the right to make a choice that is affecting others, destroying things for other people.
It is the greatest cause of global greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, ocean dead zones, ocean acidification, habitat destruction, species extinction. The list goes on and on and on. For what? For a momentary pleasure? A momentary pleasure of that flavor crossing our tongue? That's what it's worth? All of this? Come on now. We have to do better than that.
In the interview, Mao and Ray shared their thoughts about preventing future pandemics.
I think, every action has a reaction. It's very clear. It's just the way it is. Absolutely everything that we're doing is coming back on us. Almost 19 million a year dying from heart disease, colorectal cancer, and a list of other diseases. So that's immediate karma that we're getting back in our lifetime. Pandemic, that's more karma, right? We've gotten that coming back.
It's the solution on both a worldwide, on the worldwide stage and on a personal level as well, right? We can stop future pandemics if we globally adopt a plant-based diet, and on a personal level, we can mitigate the effects and protect ourselves if we eat a plant-based diet. So it's win-win.
Many thanks to Ray and Mo for your piercing insights. Our most beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai explains that the COVID-19 pandemic is the karmic retribution for killing billions of helpless, innocent animals, and the only way to prevent future pandemics is a global adoption of the vegan lifestyle. In a conference with Supreme Master TV team in 2020, Master shared a remarkable secret about the COVID-19 virus.
The COVID-19 virus, they have souls in them. That's why they're so smart, so versatile, and so difficult to catch and to kill. These are the souls of the massacred, abused, and tortured animals that the humans have been consuming. You understand now? Yes. That including yours also. Alive or dead, or even passed down through future generations, through DNA. Your future generations, relatives and friends, even if they will be born and become vegan, they still have to partake some of it. And lucky is not more, because the Maya is locked and the force of karma is gone. So they only take less than normal, otherwise would be worse. And already heaven helps a lot, otherwise the whole world would die. Very few people will survive this pandemic. Not just infected, but die.
Our sincere thanks to Supreme Master Ching Hai for sharing the true cause of COVID-19 and all pandemics. We pray that all people heed your warning and quickly adopt the compassionate vegan lifestyle. For more information about eating animals causes pandemics, please visit.
On today's program, we look at some of the enormous suffering inflicted on humanity by the COVID-19 pandemic and the consequences of overlooking the fundamental causes of pandemics.
As is well known, COVID-19 can cause excruciating pain to those who contract it.
As the virus attacks the lungs, the patient has difficulty breathing and is overtaken with panic. Then as the virus spreads, the patient often feels as if his or her lungs are on fire or filled with swarms of stinging bees. As the patient gradually begins to suffocate, a ventilator tube is inserted down the patient's throat to the lungs. In acute pain, isolated, unable to move, eat or communicate, the patient may wish to die.
Friends and relatives of those hospitalized also suffer. They cannot be by their loved ones' bedside during the illness and even death.
They might be forced to witness the slow, painful death of a parent, spouse, or child on the screen of their cell phone.
Often those left behind cannot hold a funeral to honor the deceased and possess their own grave.
Medical doctors and nurses also suffer.
Often hospital staff work 18-hour days and sleep in hallways, caring for the growing number of patients. They experience elevated risk of stress, burnout, depression, trauma, and other mental health challenges. The renowned Mayo Clinic in Florida, USA, reports that COVID-19 can also lead to permanently damaged bodily organs. Imaging tests taken months after recovery showed lasting damages to the heart muscle, even in patients with only mild symptoms, increasing the risk of heart failure. In addition, the brain can be affected with increased risk of seizures, paralysis, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease. Other long-term effects of COVID-19, known as long COVID, include brain fog, tinnitus or ear ringing, loss of smell or taste, memory or sleep problems, chest pain, headache, dizziness, and chronic coughing. The loss of a loved one, fear of contracting the virus, isolation, loneliness, and financial hardships create widespread anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses. In Japan, the suicide rate among women surged almost 15% over the previous year. Children also suffer mentally as lockdowns force school closures around the globe. As many as 1.5 billion children were out of school during most of 2020, while many students reported feeling stressed over the loss of education and isolation from friends. And yet, after 18 months, the pandemic rages on. Neither wealth, fame, nor political power provide protection from COVID-19. Even those with access to the world's best medical care have succumbed. Some of the recent cases from July 2021 are as follows. American actor, director, and former star of Entourage Kevin Connolly and his 6-week-old infant daughter both tested positive. His newborn child was hospitalized but fortunately recovered from the coronavirus. Kevin reported that he was fully vaccinated. Promising young American tennis star Coco Gauff was hoping to realize her lifelong dream of representing the USA in the Olympics in Tokyo when she tested positive for COVID-19 and was forced to withdraw. National Basketball Association or NBA analyst and former NBA star Jay Williams announced he had tested positive for COVID-19 and will be unable to broadcast the NBA Finals. He reported that he was fully vaccinated and had been very careful. Earlier this year, Sweden's Crown Princess Victoria and her husband Prince Daniel both tested positive for COVID-19. And sadly, in February 2021, Captain Sir Thomas More, Shining World Compassion Award laureate, the decorated British Army officer and philanthropist, also passed away from COVID-19. Sir More had raised more than $53 million for the UK's National Health Service frontline workers by working laps in his garden in his Bedfordshire, England home before succumbing to the disease himself. In addition to the immense physical and mental suffering, the pandemic has also wreaked financial havoc across the globe.
Majority of countries in recession real GDP growth.
The International Monetary Fund or IMF estimates that during 2020, the global economy had its worst decline since the Great Depression of the 1930s. While governments around the globe are reeling under skyrocketing healthcare costs, many businesses are also under financial strain from extended lockdowns. Retail businesses have been especially hard hit. The pandemic affected the poor and vulnerable the most. According to the World Bank, COVID-19 pushed an additional 88 to 115 million people into extreme poverty. The economic decline and loss of jobs have created more homelessness and food insecurity in the world. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, it's estimated that during 2020, the pandemic increased the number of undernourished people by 83 to 132 million.
2020 Global Hunger Index.
COVID-19 has truly brought suffering to us all. Weary viewers, we will take a moment to pray for all who have been afflicted by the pandemic. We'll be back after this message. Vegan, cause we want to be near God. Welcome back to our program. Despite COVID-19 causing immense suffering, world authorities are concerned that the worst is yet to come. In December 2020, Dr. Mike Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization or WHO Health Emergencies Program, gave a somber warning.
And I will say one thing, and it may come as a shock to people. This pandemic has been very severe. It's spread around the world extremely quickly. It has affected every corner of this planet. But this is not necessarily the big one. This virus is very transmissible, and it kills people, and it has deprived so many people of loved ones. But its current case fatality is reasonably low in comparison to other emerging diseases. This is a wake-up call.
Many governments are pressing to vaccinate all their citizens, believing this will stop the pandemic. However, Dr. David Heyman, Professor of Infectious Disease Epidemiology and Chairman of the WHO's Strategic and Technical Advisory Group for Infectious Hazards, explains in a July 2021 briefing that vaccination may not be the answer.
We're not still sure to what extent vaccination protects against the ability to be infected. This virus is evolving, this virus is changing, and we need to be very, very careful at this moment.
Is there a surefire way to truly halt COVID-19 and all future pandemics? Mercifully, there is one: to globally transition to a plant-based food system. Markham and Ray Ippolito, two of the primary organizers of the recent International Pandemic Outreach Initiative, who shared many insights with us in our previous episodes, explain.
We have to think about every choice that we make. Everything that we do is about all of us. You know, we're all interconnected. And so everything that I do to another person or to an animal affects me as well. We need to work to transition, to help these industries transition. We need to force our governments to not give them subsidies in order to continue to do what they're doing, but to subsidize the transition to a plant-based system that will benefit all of us.
And harmful subsidies. Public money should not be spent on factory farming. Subsidies to transition farmers to plant-based agriculture
If we don't act now, which is kind of on the tail end in some of the countries, on the tail end of this pandemic, we may never have an opportunity again, because who knows if the next pandemic is going to completely wipe everything out.
Thank you, Mo and Ray, for your wise words. Our most beloved Supreme Master Qinghai has sounded a similar alarm.
There's so many pandemics everywhere, okay? Not just this COVID-19. Huh?
Yes.
Even if they don't forbid eating meat, soon they will have nothing to eat. If the world goes under, yeah?
Yes, Master.
If nobody is there to do the how you say, the planting, yeah, and nobody is there to harvest the food because everybody's sick.
Yes, Master.
They're not talking about meat, not even fruit. They will not have anything to eat. So they're waiting for doomsday if they don't start vegan business already. And if they don't shut down all the animal factories, then continue with the pandemic, okay? And maybe more even. More pandemics, more other disasters. Many things are happening all the time, and many of the companies go bankrupt, and people are out of work, and hunger everywhere even. So this system have to end sooner, like yesterday.
Close all slaughterhouses.
Our deepest gratitude to Supreme Master Qinghai for her infinite wisdom and dire warning that COVID-19 will go on with more pandemics and disasters to come if humans continue the destructive practice of killing and eating animals, thus ignoring the warning from heaven. We pray that people quickly realize that the protection power can only come from our compassionate decision to stop exploiting animals. We also pray that governments can take necessary action to rectify our broken food system, thus affording humanity the opportunity to embrace a new life of compassion and peace. Over the past 18 months, the COVID-19 pandemic has been creating havoc around the globe. By August 2021, the virus had infected 200 million people worldwide, and more than 4.2 million people had died. One of the hardest hit countries was the USA, with a death toll exceeding 600,000. The pandemic has killed more Americans than World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War combined. In an effort to fight against COVID-19, the US Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, granted emergency use authorizations, or EUS, for 3 COVID-19 vaccines from late 2020 to early 2021. With the distribution of the first vaccine, Pfizer or BioNTech, at the end of 2020, BioNTech co-founder Professor Ugur Sahin told Fox News that COVID-19 could be under control by the end of next summer. One poster child for vaccination efficiency was Israel. Since the launch of its vaccination program on December 19, 2020, 78% of those 12 and older were fully vaccinated by mid-August 2021, the vast majority with the Pfizer vaccine. Initially, Israel saw COVID cases plummet from its peak of over 8,000 per day in January 2021 to a low of just 6 infections on June 9th, and everyone in the nation thought they had seen the back of COVID-19. However, July saw a precipitous climb of COVID cases, with 7,293 new infections reported on average each day, in the 3 weeks leading up to August 23, 2021. As of 15 August, 514 Israelis were hospitalized with severe or critical COVID-19, 59% of which were breakthrough cases, that is, cases involving fully vaccinated individuals. Meanwhile, a study from Israel published in the New England Journal of Medicine in July 2021 suggested that even people who experienced mild breakthrough infections may be at risk for long-term symptoms or long COVID. The main reason why the vaccines did not live up to expectation in Israel is the worldwide surge of the more transmissible Delta variant. The vaccines were less effective because the antibodies triggered by the vaccines, which were designed for the ancestral strains, could only form firm K-lock binding with the original antigens, not with those of the variants. A Reuters press release from July 30, 2021 stated the following.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warned that the war has changed against COVID-19.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, released a new report on the same day, stating that the Delta variant is much more contagious than previous variants. It can spread more readily than the MERS, SARS, Ebola, smallpox, common cold or flu, and is even more transmissible than the 1918 Spanish flu, which killed between 50 to 100 million people globally. The CDC reported that even fully vaccinated people who get infected by the Delta variant can transmit it as readily as unvaccinated people, which officials did not believe to be the case with the ancestral strains. The Delta variant also has more serious symptoms than earlier strains, especially for younger people. The hope to get the COVID-19 pandemics under control with available vaccines in summer 2021 was clearly in vain. Countries around the world have rearmed themselves to protect their citizens from the surging Delta variant. One of the greatest concerns is the breakthrough cases. The CDC reported that in the US as of July 26, 6,587 people have experienced COVID-19 infections from the Delta variant after being fully vaccinated and were hospitalized or died. The CDC also reported that in a recent outbreak in Massachusetts, USA, 3/4 of those infected had been fully vaccinated. Some high-profile breakthrough cases include 3 U.S. Senators John Hickenlooper of Colorado, Angus King of Maine, and Roger Wicker of Mississippi, all of whom announced positive COVID test results in August 2021 despite being fully vaccinated. When Delta is running rampant and creating new surges around the world, America's Delta-driven surge of COVID-19 has entered a deadlier phase. Cases are rising in 42 states. News anchor Chris Wallace reported on Fox News Sunday on August 22, 2021.
Average of new cases is now more than 151,000 a day. That's up more than 1,000% from June. And children now make up 18% of new cases. That's almost 1 in 5.
National Institutes of Health, or NIH, warned that the United States could soon hit 200,000 new cases per day. US deaths in the week ending August 23rd totaled an alarming 7,225. The face of who is dying is also changing quickly. Deaths are occurring more among white Caucasians,
and younger people from 18 to 29, and in their 30s roughly tripled their share of deaths in July and August. In some parts of the USA, a sense of panic is setting in as hospitals are at the brink of battling with critical shortages of staff, beds, and resources to treat patients. In August 2021, the US FDA and CDC jointly announced that booster shots of the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines will be available to people who have taken the second dose more than 8 months prior. Many experts raised concerns about the potential long-term health hazards of the vaccines themselves and the danger of repeated jabs, citing numerous reports of fatal or potentially fatal events following COVID vaccination. In fact, it's rather perplexing to observe the data on our world in data. Countries having a high population of fully vaccinated like Israel and the United States are having the worst rates of biweekly COVID cases per million people. Besides, could vaccines create supervirus just as antibiotics have bred superbug? This is one of many questions that the vaccinated are worried about, but scientists do not yet have answers. The Delta variant is currently the most prominent strain of COVID-19, but scientists speculate that the Lambda variant out of South America is even more worrisome. Lambda was first identified in Peru in August 2020, where it has now become the dominant strain of the virus and has been reported in 29 countries. According to an article by Newsweek on August 3, 2021, it is responsible for 1,037 cases of COVID-19 in the USA and is showing vaccine resistance. In addition to Lambda, the World Health Organization has designated variants Eta, Iota, and Kappa as variants of interest and is tracking 13 additional variants. In the face of the rapidly mutating variants, it would be unwise to assume we can defeat COVID-19 and any future pandemics using the vaccine strategy. A recent study published in the journal BMJ Nutrition, Prevention and Health revealed a link between severity of COVID-19 symptoms and diet. The study, involving more than 2,800 participants of 6 countries, showed that infected people on a plant-based diet were 73% less likely to experience severe symptoms compared to those who have animals in their diet. Dr. Brooke Gardner, MD, also proved a vegan diet can reverse long COVID. These studies are strong supporting evidence to the message brought by Ray Ippolito, director of the International Pandemic Outreach Initiative, and Markham, co-founder of Eating Animals Causes Pandemics.
We have 7.8 billion people on this planet. Every year, we're pulling almost 3 trillion animals out of the ocean. We're creating 70 billion land animals to feed, use up the resources, chop down forests, remove species, and all to slaughter them for a momentary pleasure. The act of a momentary pleasure is destroying our planet just because of our tongue. That thing is destroying the planet, and it's destroying our spirituality. It's a really important question, and I thank you for asking that. And I think at the end of the day, we all know what's right.
Yeah, I think when we're killing anyone, we're killing ourselves, right? So how we treat anyone around us is how is coming back on us. And so as a global community, we have come to be killing others with such disregard for them. This is coming back on us for sure, as you say. And I think killing animals, we're killing another animal like us in so many ways, and we're killing the planet. So this violence is going to come back on us, and it's doing that right now, and we need to recognize that in order to move forward.
Thank you, Ray and Mo. It is high time we take action to solve the pandemics at the root. Go vegan now. In addition to masks and social distancing, a vegan diet is something everyone can choose to save lives immediately. Our most beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai has spoken extensively about COVID-19 and explains.
And it's a time for retribution. No one can do anything about it. I can rescue the souls only if they repent. Physically speaking, they have to go through this time of cleansing and payment.
Yes, Master.
Yes. And it's good enough that our planet has not been destroyed already.
Yes,
That people still have hope. We keep it afloat until then, till whatever time necessary. If I can,
With leniency, the Almighty is giving us a last chance to return to our original loving nature.
I don't know how long until we are free from this COVID-19. It depends on humans, okay?
Yes,
if they U-turn and live compassionately, no more killing animals or men, then this pandemic will disappear in no time, without any medicine, without vaccine, without any trouble.
The Venerable Supreme Master Ching Hai prays that humans will make the best choice for themselves.
I wish our planet is going to be alive and well forever, or for as long as it lasts. But not in turmoil, not in trouble, not in war, not in suffering for animals and for humans. Amen. May the Lord be kind and bless us with our cooperation, compassionate way of life.
Our deep appreciation to all the experts who have the clarity of mind to point us towards the only viable solution to the dangerous pandemics. We are also eternally grateful for the grace and love of Supreme Master Ching Hai. We pray that all people and governments quickly adopt the vegan lifestyle to stop COVID-19
and all future pandemics. For more information about eating animals causes pandemics, please visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com. Warm-hearted viewers, thank you for your kind company today. Coming up next is the importance of getting quality sleep, part 2 of 2 right after noteworthy news. May all beings enjoy their birthright of love, justice, peace, and freedom in divine glory. Vegan side effect. Feeling like you are living through religion? Yes, you are.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VEG.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/VEG.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/VEG.
저희 방송은 다양한 언어를 제공합니다. 다음을 참고하세요. suprememastertv.com/schedule 그리고 suprememastertv.com/VEG